Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I am your host, Alecia Jacobson.
What's up, my badasses? Welcome to today's episode. We are just about to start launching season 3. I'm so excited. Yesterday, I went and took some new photos specifically for the podcast, which I'm really excited about because I have had the same photo out there. It's on the podcast icon. It's on pretty much everything I have done out there on the internet. And I really love the photo and I'm really overseeing the photo. So I'm super jazzed to have new pictures. And also they're really fucking amazing. The last ones, I am vanilla. Like I've talked about that on here before. Like I am a very vanilla person, but there is also a part of me that is the opposite, like of vanilla. Like there's some sprinkles there. And anyway, the pictures I took reflect that and it makes me so happy. One thing I wish I could perfect. So I have like real bad resting bitch face, but I can't do like a non-smiling face that also doesn't look like I'm going to scold you. I was trying to do like a badass face, but it just looked like you were going to get on a timeout. And that was not the vibe I was going for. But anyway, that is coming. So I'm excited to share that. So lots of exciting things. We are getting into summertime, which I will probably talk about this every time because I feel like there's a lot like the on-ramp to summer for me and probably many of you. There's a lot of fucking things. I have a graduation party to plan, just all the things. It's like, holy hell. And by planning, like, so yesterday I had the photo shoot. I was literally going and getting clothes the night. Like I had a few things leading up to it because I knew it was coming, but I was going the day before, getting shoes. On the way there, I'm like looking at the GPS of how much time I have because I'm still stopping at stores to get there. So I do not like too much advanced planning. It stresses me out. I really like to sort of just have an idea. And then right before whatever the thing is, then I like to execute. And summer, there's like, there are some things, like you have to plan, like camps and all the things like you have to plan. And then there's like you have to fill out this registration and that. I'm like, I went to fill one out earlier this week. It's been like on my list since last week. And I went in, I'm like, this is not due till the 24th. I'm not doing this now. Like, why are they sending me an email saying, reminder, fill this out? Like, I have another 2 weeks. Thank you very much. So that is my vibe. And it's this kind of delicate balance of getting things done and also not wanting to pressure myself into doing things too quickly because I feel like there's always more time. All right, today's episode. So when I shared about my microdosing of the GLP-1, I was very nervous and I talked about that on that episode and I learned a lot in doing it. And then after, I didn't actually talk about it on the interweb right away, but there was if you follow me on any socials, you might have seen this. There was a woman over on TikTok that was an influencer, and she had, probably, I think it was in 2020. I didn't follow her or know anything about her prior to this, but in 2020, she kind of came on and was talking about keto diet, and she had some weight that she wanted to lose, and she was kind of taking people along on the journey as they do. And I think she's a nurse too. Well, then she started losing weight. She gained a big following. Then she created like a macros course to sell. Well, apparently over the last like 6-8 months or so, she started losing a significant amount of weight to where people are starting to notice and question what she was doing. Well, then she came on and said that she had been taking a GLP-1 and people were pissed because they felt like she was showing up saying one thing and then kind of behind the scenes doing a different thing. And I think a big part of it sounded like, again, this is like hearsay and I'm like I went down the rabbit hole a little bit, but she was saying, I got these results from doing my program. And then she didn't share and disclose, I was also doing this other thing. So people purchasing her program felt a little duped, and not everybody. Some people were, supporting her, saying just because you're on the internet, that doesn't mean you have to share all your things. But as I said, when I did share in that episode, I was really nervous. What would people think? Would people like my credibility and do, if I'm adding another, I truly believe it's a tool. So, but not everybody has the same view. Anyway, after I'm watching this, and she has like 5 million followers. So I'm not going to get that. But I was so thankful that when I had that kind of gut intuition of, I think this is something that you need to share, but usually the things that I'm either experiencing or excited about, I want to share them naturally anyway. So to have that sort of pull to want to share, but then also have the feeling of like, no, I can't share. Like, what will people think? That created a disconnect. So all that to say, after kind of seeing this play out, I was really glad that I did. Well, then after that, I started talking about that in my stories. And let me just tell you all, after you all listened to the podcast and sending me so many DMs and text messages about what you're experiencing, some of you have already started the microdosing or were already sort of on the path to it. And I just want to say, and this isn't just specific to the microdosing, that what I have, and I've always known this anyway, but sometimes it's harder, but just sharing with someone and sharing in a way that helps alleviate the sort of kind of the darkness or the shame that's around it. And again, this is with anything, is so fucking liberating when you are able to share something and somebody else is able to say, oh my gosh, I feel so seen in that. And that only happens when we share and we make that connection. Now, do you have to go blast it all over the internet? Absolutely not. But finding either some similar groups or similar people or whatever that looks like for you in whatever capacity this is kind of might be stirring up for you. But when you hold things kind of inside, especially when you have that kind of inner pull of, I wish I could talk to somebody about this, or I'm worried about what people would think about this. I just think that creates this sort of friction and discomfort that can fester and get kind of icky and ugly inside. So just some food for thought there, because that was one thing that my inbox got like flooded with either questions, which I'm going to address today, or people saying, I have been on this path. I didn't really know who to talk to about it, or kind of talking about it in like dark corners. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean? You get the vibe. So yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting. So I was really glad that I shared, and I was really thankful for the messages that people sent and the vulnerability that people had with me and kind of sharing their experience or what they, have kind of been pulled to or whatever that may be. But a few things I realized that I didn't really get into, because I know what microdosing is and it's something that I have interviewed people on here for. But then I'm like, oh, some people might not actually know what microdosing is. So I actually pulled up the definition here and I wanted to read it to you. Okay. And if you already know, just ignore. The action or practice of taking or administering very small amounts of a drug in order to test or benefit from its physiological action while minimizing undesirable side effects. So if you remember when I interviewed Casey about microdosing the psilocybin, the mushrooms, I'm so square. I had no idea even what I was getting into. And then she's talking about how PTSD, anxiety, eating the kind of disordered, with alcohol, all these things where I'm just like, holy shit, this is so wild to me that it can have this sort of impact on healing, but then also sort of unearthing and letting go of parts that no longer serve you. And when I had talked to people about that, their idea is like this trippy kind of, actually taking a larger dose of psilocybin, which is not at all what she did and talked about, and not at all what the experience of it is. So it's a very therapeutic kind of dosage of it. And I also had Kate Johnson on here. She's your Kush coach, which I just love that name. And she was talking about microdosing, those therapeutic doses. of THC and how that can impact anxiety, stress, all of these things. And they're sort of like this taboo, wrong, drugs, all this stuff. But when you take it down to the microdosing, I just think there's so much value in that. And by removing the sort of drug stigma around it, I mean, the GLP, I mean, yeah, this is obviously like a pharmaceutical drug. The other ones they're fucking plants, you know? And I just think there can be so much value if we can strip away the judgment and replace it with curiosity. So with this, I'd already had an understanding of what the microdosing was. I didn't know that microdosing, it was actually an option. And when I heard about the impact it can have specifically on perimenopausal women, directly for me was the inflammation piece of it, because rapid weight gain, I mean, which felt almost overnight, which, you know, I've worked with women a lot, but the amount of you that flooded my inbox saying the exact same thing, like overnight weight gain, I work out, I eat healthy, I prioritize protein, I go for walks, I'm getting my movement in. I do have a lot of stress. So there's all these things that it's like, it's pointing to inflammation. And as our hormones change in perimenopause, that inflammation can increase. And we're told that that's normal. While that might be what happens to the majority of us, that doesn't mean that it is normal. That just means that there's not a fucking fix for it yet. And we are expected to just fucking deal with it. I truly, truly believe that this is a really impactful drug that is going to, I think we're going to see it in different ways. And I think that we're going to see a lot of benefits from it. And the benefits that I have heard from people that are using it is fucking wild. I'm going to share just a couple of them. We have the ones that we know about. The food noise. I just heard from somebody this morning that just recently started, and her big thing was food noise, which I understand. I had crazy food noise up until about 5 years ago. And I think it was just through the process of me working with people and me kind of adapting a new mindset over the last 40 fucking years that changed the food noise for me. But it used to be super fucking strong. And hers is, she's like, oh, I noticed when my husband, we had just finished lunch and my husband said something about what's for dinner. All of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, I am not constantly thinking about food all the time. It's not, she's like, I just noticed it. And for those of you who have food noise and have experienced that, like, what the fuck are you going to do with your thoughts now? Like, that is so liberating to not be literally obsessing about how much you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, what you're going to eat, all of the spiraling thoughts, planning. It's like, it just goes and it's not there. And the moment when you realize like something is different, because it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, how many days has it been that I've been not thinking about? Like, you don't even really notice it at first. And then when you do, it's like, holy shit, hell yeah. There's that one. I have heard, which I have not personally experienced, unfortunately, yet, mood kind of lifting. That is one that I have heard people saying. I wish I had that side effect. It's not happening, not in the least, but some people are. Better sleep. Somebody had mentioned, they have an Oura ring like I have, and their sleep scores were getting better. They were getting better quality sleep. Again, not anything I'm having, but people are experiencing that. The one that I have experienced, which is why I did it in the first place, was the inflammation. And something that I didn't realize, this is really neat, because the first time I talked about this, I didn't really realize it. And then now I'm like, holy shit, literally holy shit. I did talk about, because when you take like an actual dose, there's like bowel movement issues. And that was not something I was willing to experience. But every time I used to eat all the time, my stomach would hurt so mother effing bad. I wasn't diagnosed with anything. I never went and got medication for it, because I'm like, if I eat the most bland stuff sometimes, am I fine? Yeah. So I never did anything about it. I just dealt with it. But like so uncomfortable, like just so uncomfortable, that's fucking gone. I don't remember the last time that I have had pain and discomfort from eating food. And somebody said, and I never got diagnosed with anything. I never sought medical attention for it. It was just something that I dealt with. And somebody said that it can help with leaky gut. I know it can help with IBS. So whatever the fuck was going on inside my body, gone. And let me tell you how nice that is to be able to eat something and not want to absolutely just die after eating something. Because again, like I hate thinking about what I'm going to eat. And that added a layer of, well, if I eat this, I'm going to feel this afterwards. 100% gone. Like hasn't even happened one bit at all. So amazing. You know what I haven't tried? I'm thinking of, because I used to I still like it. I just couldn't have it. Noodles had the penne rosa there, and I loved it so much. And then I had to start getting because my kids like to go there and I'm hungry, so I want to eat it. But I had to start getting their gluten-free pasta. And I wonder if I tried that, if it would do anything. But anyway, just a thought. So I like doing that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, let me try this, which is how I got here, because I do like to try things. I do like to, I don't do anything crazy, I guess, with my body, but I like to try things and see how things work and get just, again, the curiosity with it. So those are the things, like the majority of the things that I have heard from people that they are either experiencing and wondering, okay, what are my next steps? How did you go about doing this? And my experience with it. I also saw something else about it helping with Alzheimer's. And as I've said a million times, I am not a science person. I do not have the ability to read things and then retain all of or any of the scientific information. If you tell me how you feel about reading something, when you're reading something, I will remember that. I will remember so many details about your inner world, but science and things like that, it's like, shh, it's nothing. I can't keep it in. But I have friends who do. And somebody was saying how, like, I think it's like within the brain and inflammation within the brain. And it's like, holy shit, because that is something that runs in my family. And that was one of the things with the microdosing of the psilocybin. What I found most interesting talking to Casey is that it helps with the inflammation. And I think they were doing, I think with that, they actually, I know, they actually did a lot of clinical trials so that you can look up. I know with the microdosing of the GLP-1s, I don't think there's been any scientific backed evidence yet, because it's just with the sort of regular dosing of it. So some things to consider. A lot of the questions I got was, how did you get started? And I just found, I had got a website, so I have to mix it. Mine doesn't come in a pre-mixed syringe or pre-mix it all. I actually have to mix mine together. But from what I heard from other people, there are some kind of like a naturopath. I don't know. I didn't ask where I go to my naturopath if they do it, but I know I'm in Wisconsin and Madison, and there are several places. Like you just do a Google search of microdosing a GLP-1, and there are tons of things are going to come up. So just Google it. And a lot of people were also going to Medi spas. The thing I would recommend wherever it is you go is that you also get a hormone panel, so you can really just have an understanding. People that I talked to were saying, I did this, and then I also realized I had, these kind of different issues. So you don't want to just start microdosing something without kind of realizing any other things that are going on within you. So I would always say, get a hormone panel. Are you taking supplements so that you are just, I want to say feeling good in your body, but if we're talking about this, many of us are actually not feeling good in our body. But are you taking the supplements? Are you getting like the actual nutrients inside your body? So going to a place where you can maybe have some extra panel work done, or if you have a medical provider that is willing to do those things. Just getting a clear picture of what's going on. And the next thing would be your habits. Are you prioritizing fiber? Are you prioritizing protein? I know in the last week and a half, I have not been, and I feel differently in my body. And that is not okay with me. I'm like, okay, you gotta get back to it. And I didn't get the grocery store food. There was, several reasons as to why I wasn't prioritizing it. But if you are starting and you haven't been prioritizing anything, I know, this is when I'm coaching with people, these are the things that we're prioritizing and building habits and systems to support you in this outside of anything else that you're doing. Are you building a good foundation for your health? In which case, then I'm like, yes, I think this is absolutely great. But if that's not something that you have done yet, I would say putting a focus on protein, fiber, and exercise, making sure you're getting enough water, steps, things like that. Like, are you getting daily movement, sleep? All those things are so fucking important. And I totally get that when you're doing them all and then you're not seeing the results of the effort you're putting in, it can be so discouraging. But start now, because if this is something that you're going to go talk to somebody about, and then at least you have a really good foundation for then starting. But I would prefer, if you're thinking about going, not I would prefer, it doesn't fucking matter what I would prefer, but I'm just suggesting if this is something you're thinking about doing and you don't have these habits established already, start seeing how much protein you're getting. Start seeing how much fiber you're getting. There's lots of trackers out there. Just see. Women need to be getting between 25 and 30 grams of fiber today. Most of them aren't. And looking what has fucking fiber in it. Do you have this stuff in your refrigerator? Do you have it in your pantry? Are you consuming it? Are you getting enough protein? 0.8 times your body weight is how much protein you need. Generally, I start people off about 60 grams, then I bump them up to 80, then I bump them up to 100, and then it's, okay, where is it that you actually need to be? I wouldn't necessarily start with your highest amount if you're not already getting it, because then it's just failure city, because it's fucking hard. And you have to think about it a lot. So how can you start building these really good habits now? And especially with the fiber, are you getting nutrients? Fruits, vegetables, things like that are really important, especially because if it has that appetite suppressant for you and then you're just eating trash, I mean, what's happening to the inside of your body? The goal here, at least for me and the people I'm talking to, is not thinness and skinniness. The goal here is actual long-term health. So it's not about how little can you eat. It's how much fucking nutrients can you consume. And if you already don't have that established in your life, it's something that needs to be worked on and created. And then a lot of people were going to sort of a Medi Spa. It was really nice because some of the people that I was talking to, they had a kind of a holistic side to it, where it wasn't just, okay, come in, get your shot. Some of them were running the labs and the panels and things like that. So that is a place. I don't know how it works. I don't know how the logistics of getting them, but that was like the Google search. Medi Spas were one that was coming up. And then one of the other things, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the first one, it's just making sure like your doctor knows, letting people know that, hey, this is something that I'm doing, so that your medical provider is aware. And then something that I didn't talk about the last time and actually didn't really even come up. And then I was kind of chatting with a friend and it came up. But one of the things that you kind of think about, because if you think of it, there is a weight loss to it. And it's how do you, okay, so when you get to the space where you're like, this has done its job, this tool has worked, what does it look like then? And that is obviously a conversation with your medical people, but just kind of creating an awareness of what's happening when I'm done. What is being done look like? Disordered eating is nothing that I have experienced, a little bit when I was in high school, but nothing that was like a red super red flag. Okay, I was in high school in the 90s, so I think everything was a red flag around eating and body image then, but you kind of know what I mean. But just having understanding if this is something that you're going to be using, do you need to pull anybody else in? If you have any sort of body image, any weight, food, anything like that, where it's sort of where there's a restriction involved, and maybe you have had struggles in the past, and this could be at any kind of range of those struggles, it might be very helpful for you to have an awareness of that. And also maybe, pull in a therapist with it or pull in a counselor, whatever that looks like. It was something I didn't really think about before, but then it's like, okay, when is enough enough? Because for those of us who did grow up in that sort of 90s era of thin, and had it like just brainwashed into our fucking heads that is I think so many of us has done a really good job on body image stuff, but I can also see some shit cropping back up. So just having this sort of awareness of what is healthy like to you, maybe creating a plan before you go in, because as a person who has this platform and I have worked with so many people, I could see this being eventually misused. And that is not something that I want to promote or kind of say. And somebody starts, I don't want anybody not anybody in general, but just, I want people to be aware of that, and maybe creating a plan ahead of time of, okay, here, I know myself, I know maybe where I've been. And just in case you're like, here's my plan, pulling your people in the beginning. Just, that was something that came up, and it was something that I thought needed space brought to it, just in case anybody falls kind of under that umbrella, and just creating a kind of safe space for yourself so that you have a plan and you are taking good care of yourself. Because this is strength. This is long-term health. This is how can we kind of take control of our bodies and kind of feel, it feels like you're back in control of your body a little bit. I've said like, sometimes it feels like I just get hijacked, and it's like, what the fuck? I know these things. I know what I need to be doing. And when the things that you need to be doing are not doing what they need to be doing, it's really fucking irritating. And when you're trying to find the providers, I know there's a couple of groups that I'm in, and I have some friends that there's like a menopause clinic that just opened up, but they're only open like one day a week. And the waiting list is like 6 months to 18 fucking months. That's insane. That's insane. When you have all of these women, like I'm really hoping that there is just this crop of women that now are like, fuck this shit, and get this education and learning, and they can then help out the next generation that is dealing with this, because I think there's just so much to be learned and so much that is still unknown. And I feel like we can't get answers. So this right now feels like a really good answer that is a tool that we can utilizing it with respect that it deserves, and taking care of ourselves in a way that feels like I said, it feels like you're taking kind of the power back a little bit. I hate to just say, go make a Google search, but talk to people too, because like I said, what I found is that this is being utilized more than I think what many people know. And you can find places around you. I would say make sure that they're, like credentialed, and it's not like a shady shit, and that it's, quality medical people that are supporting you in this. And from what I have heard, that is available out there. And the cost varies depending on like labs and things like that. And that was something that somebody brought up, was the cost that they were paying. And I have been doing the holistic natural path because way back in the day, I did not have insurance. Right after my divorce, I think I had like 2 years without having insurance. And so I was paying out of pocket anyway. So I have a full understanding that what I pay for health costs related to this is completely kind of skewed, because of it's just, I feel like it's what I've always paid, but there is obviously a cost associated with it. But I want to feel good, and I have to pay to feel good, then I'm going to pay to feel good. And sometimes that doesn't feel good to pay. So fully aware of that. But if you are able, just kind of looking into that, I'm sure that there are different price differences at different places. I don't know what they are, but I that was something I didn't mention before either, because it's something, like I said, I'm just kind of skewed on it because I have been doing this for like 12 years of just be like, oh, these labs are this and this is this. And, my iron infusion is this. It's what I'm used to. So I didn't even really kind of think about that. So, all right. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that wherever you are on your journey, that you are feeling supported or you can find that support. Do, your due diligence and talking with people and looking into things, but I feel like we're all fucking really good at that. Like, I hate to say like do your research because I'm not a fucking scientist. Like, it's not my job to do research, but I feel like women in their 40s, the people that I'm talking to, I feel like we are really good at the research. So when I say that, I feel like you get what I mean. So I wish you all well, and I hope that you are enjoying this sort of spring season and that this is helpful for you. And I would love to continue hearing your stories and how this is kind of impacting you. And then I can kind of share with other people. That's the thing too, is the more I was like, oh, I'm able to share with other people. I obviously don't say, who anybody is, but just the stories in general. All right. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next week.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.